There you go.
All right. So basically, what's been happening over the past couple months is, or at least this month, is we have an article in our Constitution, and I'll kind of just mention it very briefly here. It says Article 5, Section 3 of our, and actually, you know what? Let's actually start with this. And Ian, answer me this question really quick. Is the UCF like, are we supposed to follow the Federation's bylaws or are we supposed to follow our own bylaws? I just want to make that very clear from the beginning.
So generally speaking, you follow your own bylaws as well as precedent, but the Federation Constitution generally supersedes any constitutions within any state chapter.
Okay, so the question that I
So
have is,
so it's kind of like federal and state constitutions in that
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. So the question that I have is, okay, so I haven't been provided a copy of the federal bylaws, and there's nowhere online where I can look for them.
Oh, if you want me to send it to you, I'll send you a PDF right now.
Yeah, I mean that's fine, but there's no point in me reading them exactly right now.
Okay.
But essentially, on the meeting of January 13th, there's a provision in our Constitution, Article 5, Section 3 of the UCF GOP Constitution, and I actually have it right here in front of me. It says the date for the election of officers shall be based on the decision of the majority of active members at the first meeting of the spring semester. So in our Constitution, it's not written to say that, oh, our election has to be held on April 7th or in April or on March. It doesn't give an exact date. At the first meeting of the spring semester, it specifically states that the active majority or the majority of active student members get to decide when the election is held. And I invited the UCF advisor to the meeting to kind of be an official note taker, just to kind of keep score of everything, just in case things went astray. And when we held a vote to see who was in favor of January 27th, 16 people raised their hands. And when they were asked, did they want another date that was later than January 27th or a different date? Because the next date was going to be January 27th. There was no earlier date to pick and nobody raised their hand. There were other people present, like James and a few others, but they all abstained from voting. So it was
Mhm.
a 16-0 vote for January 27th. And this is in our bylaws that I found on Night Connect. So if
For
there's,
sure, for sure. Well, let
if there,
me
yeah, hold on.
just to
Wait,
answer
wait,
your question.
wait. Well, let me finish my my thing as well.
Okay,
So
go for it.
so in our bylaws, it clearly states that we're allowed to pick our own election date, right? And so my question is, why, and then also, there's no constitutional provision here that says it has to be held on a certain day or a certain month or anything. It says that within the first semester, on the first meeting, you get to pick your date based on the majority of what the active members want. And I believe let me actually look this up here. It says I believe in one of the sections, I think it's Article 3 or Article 4, it's Article 4, Section 3. It says the term of office shall be no longer than a year. So the precedent has been, oh, the officer's term has been a year, or oh, the precedent has always been it's in April. But the problem with that is, and this is something that Rachel spoke to me about, is that the precedent being that it needs to be held on a certain date or that the officer's term has to be required to be a year. It's not what it says in our Constitution. It says that the term of office shall be no longer than a year. So it doesn't specify that it has to be a year. It's mainly just that it can be no longer than a year. And so if there's a precedent of it always being held in April, well, that means that every single president since 2016, that's the last revised copy of the Constitution before it was updated in 2021, every president since 2016 has violated that section of the Constitution, not allowing us to pick our own date. So my question is there any provision in the federal Constitution allowing you to override us being able to hold that election regardless of the fact that we all voted for January 27th according to our own bylaws? And then I have something else to say after, but you can answer that.
Yeah. So, one generally precedence in college Republicans takes priority over governing documents. So, like, if something has like you said, since like 2016 or since like 10 years ago, um, that has how it's always been done, that generally takes precedence over if there's like a detail and they're saying something else.
But
So
why?
since it's always, that's just how it generally is. And to answer your questions about the,
Hold on,
and,
I gotta say something. Look,
well, let me answer you the other part. So in terms of the 1 year thing, in the Federation's constitution, e-board members are given the right to, at least once they're elected to hold office at least for a year. That's generally the right that e-board members have,
what is the
once they're
second
elected.
article of it?
Well, I need to send you the Federation Constitution, but it
Well,
is
I
go
can
ahead.
upload it here.
Yeah, but
okay.
you could also
Fantastic.
read me too.
What happened?
You could also read me the article in the section where it says that the officer's term has to be at least a year.
Yeah, but I'll read it for you right now. Let me just bring it up. Uh,
And you should be able to upload it into the meeting group chat.
Yeah, I'll do that right now. I just need to get it from Google. Okay. Okay. So in section 15 of Article 7, I believe, of our Constitution, all executive board members of any affiliated chapter within the Florida Federation of College Republicans have the right to hold office for a minimum term of one full academic year. This ensures continuity and stability in leadership and allows for adequate time to fulfill the responsibilities of the position. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the problem with that. And at this point, this is the thing. There was no documentation ever provided to me by the president, provided by you, or any public place online, because I tried looking it up. I tried looking up your bylaws like probably 4 or 5 times, and your guys' website is actually not even up right now. If you look up ffcr.gop, it's not even working right now. So I was not able to find any place to be able to look up those provisions. So I hope you understand that from whatever I was able to have access to, in our bylaws, it says that an officer's term shall be no longer than a year. So all I want you to understand is when we were doing things or operating under the Constitution for this vote, we were not doing it because we knew that the federal bylaws were overseeing us, nor that we not understand the fact that they are guaranteed a year in the federal Constitution, because that was not made aware to any of the members or including myself, and there was no public access or record of the copy of that. Now, the other thing that I want to mention, and this is something that Mary could talk about if she wants to bring it up. But
Also, I feel like we're also kind of getting sidetracked. So if you could like finish this one point and then, because I do really want to hear both of your perspectives. I know I know like we've kind of like talked about this before, but just so we can all get the facts straight and get it all in one meeting without like being here for 3 hours.
That's fine. No, I actually have something right here. This was something that was found the day that Andrew got elected, right? And this is something that actually pertains to you. And I'm going to say this because this was mentioned in the statement, but somebody brought to my attention this message. So it says, this is from Mary, that this screenshot actually has, I have 3 versions of the screenshot. I have one with her phone number on it. I have one with the name of the contact, and I have one of the message by itself. And this message was shown to me.
Are you gonna text me that, or where are you gonna show me?
I could send this to you if you'd like. I mean, you have my blocked. But I could send it to you.
I have you what?
You have me blocked.
I don't have you blocked.
Well, I tried texting you and it doesn't go through, but that's besides the point. So the message from Mary says this to this person. Hi, blanked out. I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you know what's going on in college Republicans right now, but we have two people trying to forcefully take it over, and it's been a huge mess, and our VP resigned. I'm wondering if there's any chance you could become a member, come to our first meeting, the 13th, and vote for my friend James Cross for VP to put an end to this mess and ensure the club can move forward. Dues are lowered to $1 as of right now, as per what the FFCR has advised. Thanks so much. So this is, yeah, you could send that to him, and you could also send the one with the phone number as well. We're sending it in the group chat where this meeting originated.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, so this was found prior to the vote of VP, and yes, James Cross technically never put in writing that he was going to run for VP, but you are allowed to nominate yourself at the meeting. And me and a couple other people had suspected, despite this message being sent at 11:07 a.m. in the morning. If we go over here to these other messages that I also have, at 9:24 p.m. on the same night, I had asked Mary, hey, where is the best way to see all of the dues paying members? Oh, and just FYI, it says that the FFCR advised her to lower the dues to $1. Just FYI. So that includes you, that includes James, and the rest of the board. Just from this statement that I have here, by the way. And 9:24 p.m. at night, I asked her, what's the best way to see everybody who's paid all the dues? And she said the best way to see is who's in the Slack chat. So I said, oh, can you just add the people who've paid who aren't in there yet? And she said, yeah, I'll do that. And she did. And then I asked her in this conversation, is anybody else running against Andrew? And she said, I'm not sure if anyone else intends to run. The same night after she sent this message to this person in the morning, at 11 a.m. At 9 p.m., the same night that this occurred, that message occurred, not even 12 hours later, she told me that she wasn't sure if anybody else was gonna run. And she also said that if there was no competition, that Andrew would automatically win. So even though the precedent takes over the fact that officers are guaranteed over a year, everybody sees this for what it is. Mary claims that these are unofficial documents and that these can be used against her, but I don't understand. And then I've had this conversation with people. I don't know what an unofficial document is. Yeah, what does that mean? Does this need to get notarized or something? Like, we don't understand what that means. And so the problem that we're having is this turned from a situation that obviously the original impeachment, I retracted it, so it's no longer a standing document. So this situation has nothing to do with that original impeachment. This turned from something that I responsibly retracted and let it go, and then saw the provision that allowed us to pick our own date and said, okay, instead of doing the impeachment, we just pick our early date as it says here, and we're good. That's it. But when I asked Mary every time, I asked her twice about the vote of allowing us to pick our own date. And each time I asked her, she didn't respond to me. She didn't provide any documentation of the Federation bylaws at all, nor the section you provided. And I appreciate you providing me that now. But she never provided us those. If she would have provided us those, we wouldn't have even tried doing the vote, because we would have said, okay, the federal constitution basically overrides us. And if the officer is guaranteed to a year, then we technically can't vote for another date, which is fine. But we were never made aware of that provision, which she could have easily sent that provision to us from the federal constitution or a document, and she never did. And in our constitution, it actually says, let me find this here. In our constitution, there's an article that states, membership, it's Article 9, Section 1. Membership dues shall be set by the executive board of that year with a majority of approval of active members. So the president of the club went out of her way to secretly text message people that they were lowered from $40 to $1, which, by the way, this was done on January 5th before the spring semester started. So there was no possible way for a physical meeting to have taken place to change dues. So this was done technically during the break. The treasurer and the secretary also didn't know about this change, by the way. When this was brought to their attention with this, Mary never once contacted Kayvon or Travis to let them know that dues were changed, and she never put this up for a vote. And so, yes, okay, the president says that we can't have an early election. That's fine. But the problem is this undermines the club, and it's not fair to people who paid $40 the previous semester.
Yeah.
I paid 40. He paid 40.
It's undermining the precedent that's like this so-called precedent that we have has been like undermined by this whole thing.
Yeah, the so-called precedent is being undermined by the fact that this happened.
And the precedent also of like the whole election thing that we have of elections traditionally being in April is like the president violates our constitution, because if the last 10 years they've never had members vote on when an election should be like that. That's kind of unacceptable almost, you know?
Yeah. And if that provision was going against the federal constitution, then the person who wrote that should have understood what the federal bylaws even meant. Because that means the people weren't following ours, and the person who made the constitution didn't even read the federal bylaws anyway. So it was incompetence in both areas. It wasn't even just us. But
I also have to say, like, when I was looking at, so I'm a former UCF student, and I was on the executive board. I was actually one of the assigned officers at UCF for the college Republicans, and this was from like 2018 to 2021. And I was surprised because the constitution that I saw currently on anthropology on the or the UCF Knight website, where you can find the constitution, it's a different constitution despite it saying 2016. So this is another it's just like a little confusing too, because it is the current constitution is all over the place.
Well, this is the one that we found on Night Connect, and it even says, it says this is the one we found on Night Connect, and it says updated Republican Constitution.
Yeah.
And I'll actually give you the exact date it's revised. I have it here somewhere. It's gonna say it here.
It was revised. It said it's revised on the document itself.
It says, look, this is the history of revising. It's
perfect.
Right here. So it says, history of Constitution, created October 15th, 1973, revised August 14th, 2016. The 2016 version has the provision with us being allowed to pick our own election date, and also has the provision of the dues being set by the members, by the way.
Right.
And it was revised on January 24th, 2021, which I didn't see any major changes, but our revisions, our constitution that we have, which allows us to pick our own date and also has to have the dues set by the board, it's in the 2016 version that's on Night Connect.
Right.
Just FYI. And here are the revising dates at the end of the Constitution right here.
No, of course, I'm not doubting this.
If we weren't even provided an official copy of the actual Constitution of the club, that's even worse, because the secretary is supposed to provide a copy of the Constitution to everybody, and that's never been done the whole year. So just FYI. So if that's a problem, then that's just an even bigger problem in and of itself. But I think regardless of the fact of the election date or not, this finance violation of the Constitution, she went out of her way. And this was done by the advice of the Federation. The Federation told her to lower dues to $1 and didn't run it by us.
Yeah.
Didn't announce it in this.
To answer your questions, no, we did not advise anybody to change any dues. We generally just abide.
Then you have to ask Mary.
I can see what it says there. I didn't advise her, at least. Yanni didn't advise her.
Ian, is James going to be on the call? Is he available?
I didn't tell James to be on this call. I thought I just had it.
He probably didn't want to be on this call because of this text message anyway. So, but either way,
there's a text message from James. There's a text message from James.
No, there's no text message from James, but
the text message about him.
This text
about him running for vice president,
and the fact that it says that the FFCR advised Mary to do so. So if Ian didn't do it, then that means somebody else did it. And the only person who was signing up to be director of communications or to be on committee meetings or to be on committees for UCF GOP after I got involved or after I said something was James himself. And then James in person, when we confronted him about this, said, well, never in writing did I actually say that I was going to run, and he said, "Well, I'm actually too busy. I'm actually too busy to get involved. So then why does Mary say that you're going to run for vice president? Why are you getting involved?" And by the way, Mary should know who the person who advised her is, just FYI, because she's clearly saying it right here.
Well,
So-
here's the other thing here, James Lester. This whole thing, really, keep in mind, it all started not because you guys wanted to do early elections, the way you guys wanted to choose. It's not because of any of those other issues. It's because you guys started this off the wrong way by trying to impeach Mary.
I already retracted
Ethan, I believe, was the VP, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure if you wanted to impeach any of the other board. I don't remember. But it all started because of that.
Right. And
All right.
but I already retracted that impeachment. So that
You
has
retracted it, and then a few days after, and that's considering that we even offered you a position as a regional director, at least to calm things down a little bit.
I tried texting you after the fact and you didn't respond to me, so.
I didn't respond to you because we were on break. I told you that we were. Everybody was off. It was the weekend, and I don't want to bug my guys on the weekend.
It's understandable.
Yeah. And so you guys started that off with the impeachment. I appreciate that you rescinded the impeachment articles. But then a few days after that, I don't remember how many, but a few days after that, you then call for early election. So frankly,
right, but the early
based
election,
on that, we could already tell what the intentions behind this were, which is simply to get rid of the current leadership, and so you guys can step in. And especially the fact that you announced that when you were doing the impeachment articles, that you announced that you wanted to run for president, kind of gave us it kind of made it seem like you were just simply trying to get the position. And the fact in general that you guys haven't been able to come to like a civil agreement, like just negotiate. There hasn't been really, it seems to me at least, there hasn't been any attempt to really compromise with all of this. Like, I don't understand what the rush is and why we have to cannibalize each other like this. Like, we're all Republicans here. None of us are like, I don't know, like any weird rhinos or anything like that. Like, we're all pretty normal Republicans as far as I can tell. I don't know, maybe there's a secret Democrat in here or something. But yeah, I don't like understand it. Like, why can't, Mary work with you and you work with Mary and Andrew work with Mary and Mary work with Andrew? Like, I don't see. I think UCF could have some really cool things going for it, but nobody really just seems to want to do anything correctly. I mean, like, why can't we all just be nice, bro?
Well, this is the thing.
Here's the
thing. And when we initiated this impeachment, this was done mainly because we thought that Mary wasn't necessarily doing a great job. And a lot of people felt like her litmus test was during the semester. And I would like to add that
I get that.
We didn't know that the Federation existed whatsoever. The Federation, to me, to Andrew, to a bunch of other, to anybody, we had no idea that the Federation existed at all. Zero. So when we initiated this impeachment, we thought that it was going to be handled by all of us at the school.
And not even that we didn't want the Federation involved. It's that.
Yeah, you guys just didn't know that we were around. I get that.
And that's understandable. We hold our quarterlies in the spring, and that's usually when everyone gets together and we have everyone come from every chapter. So usually it happens like it's usually planned in the spring every 2 years, and just we were working on we would have liked to have done something with you guys, and we had a planned we actually had invited UCF to a planned campaign door knocking run, because we were partnering with a bunch of with state house campaigns. There was actually that one, Representative Paula Stark. She was really being threatened by a Democrat. Unfortunately, the whole thing just ended up falling out on the campaign side. But we generally try to get involved, and we did plan some things with other chapters. But so usually in the spring is when all the chapters get together and, have a good social event and acquaint with each other as Republicans, as college Republicans.
Right. I'm gonna just say this. We're gonna keep talking in circles, and after this, we're gonna just let Mary speak. I mean, either way, just to FYI, Ian, I don't think that the impeachment that I already retracted, that I didn't understand the Federation was around, I don't think that should negate the fact that this Deuce thing happened. I don't think that should be the case at all. If there's consequences for everybody, it is what it is. But this is not a one-sided situation either. Yes, clearly it started off on the wrong foot, and should I have done the impeachment in the beginning? No. But the fact that it went from that and I dropped it,
You dropped it and then you did something else that was practically the same thing.
But the something else that I did was within our bylaws, and Mary never once said, hey, the Federation said that I'm guaranteed a year. That was never mentioned to us, and those bylaws were never presented to us whatsoever. So we're going off of what we know, what we have in our Constitution. So if you want to say...
Yeah, but we went and told you guys. We had meetings with you guys, and we've told you this. So...
Well, to my understanding...
We didn't provide, like, the specific, article or whatever, but we told you, hey, precedent has always been that elections are toward the end of the semester. That's generally how it is for every single college Republican club. Mm-hmm. And frankly, it was also just like, we already it seemed to us that your intention was generally just to take the position. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. In the end, if you would have simply waited to have like a nice clean election, be it whenever, honestly, if you would have started off with, just choosing the election, be it like in January or whatever, we wouldn't have even had to step in. But you guys started off trying to kick out the e-board. Regardless of whether we made our presence known or whatever, that's not something that's like, I don't want to say it's common sense, but it's almost common sense. Like, that's honestly impeaching people simply because you don't like how they've done things, which from my understanding and from the things that members at your chapter have told me, that was just the general agreement, was people wanted Mary out and her board because they didn't like how things were going. Not because they actually violated any articles of their constitution or because they did anything unethical, because nobody ever presented that to us, okay?
Well, and I would like to also add as well, I understand that, and I thought that the impeachment process also acted as like a vote of no confidence. So I already understand that was a mistake, and we already retracted it, and we've already apologized for that.
You apologized for it, but then you basically try to do the same thing, but through more legal.
And if I may add as well, from our last conversation, we left off with, it's good that we can work through this, and that I think that we have a lot to offer each other. And we even said, we look forward to seeing you run and, take on the initiative. And we left off saying things would proceed as normal. And, without even being followed up on, you could have brought it up with us and we would have been like, oh, it all looks good in the Constitution, but going, not even notifying us, of that after we already had that initial conversation, it made it look, how it looks and, the motivations behind it. You have to understand from our point of view how it might be interpreted.
Yeah. Really, it comes down to trust, to be honest, because it's like, we had a conversation with you about it. It seemed to us at least that you generally agreed, all right, we're gonna leave things calm. You're going to run in your election, win or lose, whatever, but things would be clean. And then a few days later, you turn around, we're going to have our elections in January, guys. Let's get Mary out of here.
That's not, I didn't say that we were going to.
And especially when you make comments in your group chat saying, yeah, today's the day, like, we're finally going to get Mary out.
Well, that's just
stuff like that. It looks weird, man.
Playful banter, okay? I think you're kind of taking it.
Playful. Yeah. All right. If you want to call it playful, call it playful. It's not what it seems to us. It doesn't seem playful to us at all, and it doesn't seem playful to anybody else in the state.
Okay,
So,
well, that's not how the members see it, you know? Like, we are kind of just representing the majority of the
okay. I get that the members see it in a certain way. We don't see it that way. Nobody else in the state sees it that way. I don't want to bust your balls here, but come on, dude, that's not how, people speak civilly. I mean, it sounds like you're trying to you almost do like a revolution in the club, dude, and this isn't none of these are paid positions or anything. This is all this is a volunteer organization at the end of the day. We're all just, trying to, advance, ideally, we're all trying to just advance conservative values and the Republican Party in this country. We're not here to have a position, just to be in a position or to do whatever. We're here to help the country, help the state, and help our members.
Yeah, and I agree. But I mean, I feel like it's almost uncomparable. Lester kind of
actually go on.
A little aggressive, whatever with the rhetoric he was using in the Slack over the break. But I feel like in comparison to going from there and then changing the dues behind everyone's back before a VP election without notifying anybody before the spring semester even starts, so that you can vote someone in to run against me to beat me, harvest a bunch of members, essentially ballot harvest to kind of vote us out. That's kind of ridiculous.
And we're gonna, and I promise you, we're gonna investigate that. I promise you, we're gonna investigate that separately. But here's the thing, dude. It's you're comparing. I get, yeah, and I need to double check the UCF Constitution.
Well, Ian, in this case, I'd say one good deed does not wash away the bad, nor bad the good.
Yeah, precisely. That's what I was going to go into. I'm going to check it over, and we're going to investigate it, because if what you're saying is right, yeah, doesn't sound like it's, within procedures of the Constitution.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. You guys, I'm not done. You guys are making that point, yeah, that she unconstitutionally changed the dollar amount on the dues. I get that is generally unfair to the rest of the members and to yourselves that you guys paid $40. But nobody was actually harmed in this, to my understanding. And worst case scenario, realistically, the money could be returned to those that paid $1 and they paid $40, and the issue is resolved.
Yeah, we need to properly investigate this and just make sure that if anyone was added for $1, the membership needs to be revoked, and then or the alternative would be that everyone needs to get their dues back. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we this is something that we certainly need. We can't take this lightly, and I don't think we should.
But yeah, I mean, that's essentially what it comes down to, man. I mean, it's like you're comparing apples and pears. You're comparing, oh well, she changed the dues to $1 to you trying to basically overthrow her.
Well, we're not going in the meeting and saying, oh yeah, you're no longer the president anymore. I'm the president. I never did that. I actually think this situation that happened with the dollars thing is far worse, because whether anybody likes it or not, I was completely honest with all the actions that I was taking. And when I did something, I stated in the Constitution why I was doing it and why I'm allowed to do it. If by the federal bylaws I wasn't allowed to do it, that's fine, but I didn't have access to those. But in the meantime, something else is going on where it's going directly against our bylaws. So what's worse, me stating, whether you guys like it or not, I stated why I did everything within reason and within our bylaws, while this is going on behind everybody's back against the bylaws. I think that this is far worse, in my opinion.
Obviously,
the impeachment thing was against your bylaws.
I mean, again, it's up to you guys to decide what happens, but I think that this $40 dues thing is much worse than whatever impeachment
Or like
was tried to be
what-
held, because when you
not even
explained
the
it,
root.
when you explained it to me and said, okay, hey, this person, the last time this happened was sexual, assault and whatever, I was like, okay, fine. But I think me reading the Constitution verbatim, and it states the date of the election of officers shall be based on decision of the majority of active members at the first meeting of the spring semester, and suggesting to everybody that they can vote for January 27th as an early meeting is not as bad as me trying to impeach the president. Like, that's like completely not even, that's like not even comparable. And
Well,
this dollar
yeah, go.
spending behind everybody's back, not notifying all the other officers I think is far worse. And,
Well,
and
it's-
FYI, we had a conversation with Mary the other day for about like an hour and a half, trying to see where we can meet in the middle with this, looking at the Constitution and everything. And at the end of the day, we didn't agree, but I told her, hey, go contact all of the other members first, before go contact all the other members first before we meet again, and then we can discuss with the members or whatever. And she said, okay, I'll do that. And the first thing she did was text you to get us banned. So people don't feel like she's going about this in a way where she's looking out for all the other members, but merely in just a way that it conveniences her, because I never heard of the Federation until this all happened. I just want you to understand our perspective on this. And I think that this $40 dues thing is much worse, and it's actual election interference than me trying to impeach and being honest about it and dropping it when you made it clear that the way it worked wasn't appropriate and that it wasn't a vote of no confidence. Once I understood that it wasn't a vote of no confidence and that the precedent for it was bad, I dropped it. And then we stuck with the January 27th thing because the Constitution allows us to pick our own date at the first meeting of the spring semester. I didn't say we're going to automatically have it in January 27th. All I said was, if you guys want an early election, we should pick a date of January 27th at the first meeting of the spring semester, as it's allowed in here. This was without my knowledge of the fact that the Federation's Constitution says that everybody can just is guaranteed a term. We didn't have access to those provisions whatsoever. The only thing we had was ours. So we're trying to go off of ours. So that's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not. If one, the impeachment was in violation technically of the UCF Constitution, because it says that I don't remember the exact wording, but essentially you can only really impeach somebody if they've done something criminal or if they've actually violated their duties within the Constitution, which within the Constitution of the UCF College Republicans, Mary has not violated any of those. And the reasons that you gave in your impeachment letter, I guess I didn't need to pull it up because I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the two reasons that you did, or the one reason that for sure is not true, is that you said that the bank account was not established, or that it wasn't set, or that it wasn't open. Something of that nature, which is factually false. And realistically,
and I would argue even on top of that, the fact that previous chairs reported to us that a non-student was reaching out to them to gain access to the bank account is incredibly concerning. But I'm not going to discount what you're saying, Lester. And I mean, Ian, I would honestly, I think that
a non-student trying to access the bank account, I don't know what that's about, but here's the thing. Again, I've already stated what's happening here, guys. I understand what's going on. We're taking the impeachment from the beginning, which I've already dropped, and now that rules were actually violated in the Constitution. She literally violated. Now she actually did violate the Constitution for real. And in the original impeachment, I thought the impeachment process was going to be handled by UCF and was up to the interpretation of the members of the claims to vote on. And I thought that the impeachment process also acted as a vote of no confidence. So with that in mind, once I understood those things, I dropped it. But now that she actually has violated the Constitution. There's actually something that we could legitimately impeach her with the evidence I have. Now you guys want to go back to the old one and say, oh, actually, all your old statements were false, even though I didn't understand the way it worked at the time.
That's
Again,
not what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is we need to suspend the UCF.
I'm not saying that I am going to impeach her. I mean, at this point, like it doesn't even matter. Like it's already done, you know. And clearly, an impeachment didn't work out the first time. But the way this conversation has gone, it's kind of starting to make me wonder: like, is this our club or is this the Federation's club? Because at the end of the day, none of you guys, like, besides Mary, are here to see what's going on a day-by-day basis. You guys don't know how people actually feel about the club. And so we're working with what we have and what resources we are known and had available at the time. During the impeachment, we didn't know the Federation existed. We thought that the impeachment was decided by the members and the claims in there would be determined by them. And I thought it also could work as a vote of no confidence. Once I understood those three things, I dropped it. But now that there's something that she could actually be impeached with, now the old one is being brought up to wash away the mistakes from this. I don't think that this $40 dues thing is a matter of refunding everybody's money. I mean, people would like their money back if they're going to keep it $1. But I think that is actual grounds for I think that would actually be grounds for removal because she actually did violate the Constitution and pretty badly, in my opinion.
Yes, and I wasn't making excuses for any of that. What I was going to say is that it's grounds for
my opinion about the whole situation.
Not to discount anything you said.
honestly, the way we've dealt with this in the past is we suspend the entire chapter.
Okay.
That we've had this happen on one other occasion. It was the FSU chapter, and they did not come back as a college Republican chapter for 3 years.
Okay.
So that's the way we've dealt with this in the past. I mean, just going off of, precedent. I mean, again, it's at the end of the day, it's up to Ian. I know that Ian has met with the state board, so all the other chapter chairs in the state, and I mean, Ian, I'm not going to speak for you.
Yeah. So prior to this, we brought this issue up to the rest of the state because we wanted their input on it, and frankly, everybody agreed to essentially the suspension of the chapter temporarily until these issues can be resolved. In our opinion, and really the opinion of the rest of the state, clearly the Constitution at UCF really has not, like you said, hasn't been followed for years. Frankly, there's issues with it that we see as well. So realistically, considering what you're telling us with the issues with you and with Mary and with not really with Andrew. Andrew's just sitting there in the back chilling. But frankly, considering all these issues, realistically, we just feel it'll be a lot easier just to suspend the chapter temporarily, suspend all operations minus like recruitment, so you guys, I guess, can still recruit. While we resolve these issues.
For $1 for 40.
Yeah, whatever price you guys want. It's up to you. Just follow.
I mean, the rest of the money would end up going to the RPOF. The RPOF collects all the money in the case of if an issue ends up being permanent. But I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah.
But
honestly,
it doesn't make sense. I don't think it doesn't make sense that the Constitution hasn't been followed for years, and then I actually try to follow it, after the full understanding of the context with us being able to pick our own election, the dues thing, and now that somebody's trying to follow the Constitution finally, the response is just to suspend the chapter?
Well, they'll make it seem like it's because you're following the Constitution all of a sudden now. It's because you decided to go and overthrow established leadership of a club, one of our clubs. All the clubs in Florida are federated with us. All right, we are in charge in the end of all of them, not just you guys, but all the other universities in the state. So, frankly, we're just giving you guys the same treatment that we would treat any of our other chapters if frankly, all hell broke loose like it clearly has here. And clearly nobody wants to freaking work together. So, nobody wants to compromise. Nobody wants to,
Well, I think
I'm
the
sorry,
compromise
nobody
is
wants to behave like adults here. Like,
compromise is the
realistically, we're not here to babysit, or we're trying not to. I don't care. I don't want to take time out of my Sunday. Yanni doesn't want to take time out of his Sunday. Neither does Jose to, deal with this whole issue. We've been dealing with this issue since December. So, honestly, at this point,
okay.
we're all just really just tired of it. The rest of the state is also tired of it. So, yeah, I honestly, Yanni, I think I've heard
Can I get a
enough.
word here? I haven't been able to talk too much during the thing.
Yeah, Andrew was trying to talk, so
What
go
I
ahead.
want to say is not to be too dramatic or anything, but
Mhm.
regardless of the club not being suspended, because obviously suspension is going to destroy this club at UCF. Even if you don't suspend the club and the club continues, and we don't have an election, the turnout, to my understanding, what I believe from the members, this club will die regardless of you suspending it for the next 3 years or this election not being held. The club, if this election isn't held, then nobody really wants to turn out to meetings as they are at all, you know? So regardless of suspension or not, like this club is going to die out if without an election. That's all I have to say.
Well, it won't take 3 years, but
Well, I mean, I'm just using the example you said with FSU.
But yeah, no, for sure. Well,
FSU was very serious, and they were not able to even use the name of college Republicans. So that was something we really had to work out with that chair. I'm hoping in this instance it really could be as soon as like you know, especially in the spring semester with everything coming up. For example, like CPAC, like it's really up to. I mean, we haven't let Mary talk at all, but I mean, it's up to you.
honestly, I think I've heard enough. I'm tired as it is. But yeah, that was already the decision of the rest of the state. I wanted to hear you guys out, see if something could be worked out. Clearly, since it can't, frankly, you guys really don't leave us much of a choice at the end. And in terms of the chapter dying, I frankly don't think so. I hope I can work with you guys in the future. But if it dies, we'll have to rebuild it again, and that's just how it's always been. UCF wouldn't be the first. So, yeah. Sorry to hear about that. I guess I'll talk to Mary about potentially returning any dues in case any of your members want to
If that's
leave
the
due
case,
to this situation.
if
But
you are gonna return dues,
would you want to return yours as well?
Well,
people who paid 40 want their money back.
All right. Well, then, we'll have to be done then. But yeah. I thank you guys for attending the meeting.
of course. Thanks for taking
Sorry I had to come to this, but yeah. Hopefully, pending constitutional revision, hopefully we can get the chapter back in line, and hopefully we can do some great things
Make sure you keep me posted
for what remains for this semester.
Yeah.
But yeah, my condolences. But yeah, I wish you guys a happy Sunday and take care.
Well, hold on. When like the provisions and whatnot, like when do you think this would occur? Like in the next month or so? Like what's the time frame we're looking at here? Like a couple months? The spring
We're
season?
hoping to get this all done within a week, but that'll be up to you guys. But yeah.
Understand. And with any revisions and whatnot to the Constitution, I would like to be obviously I feel like this should be good.
Well, you will be.
Okay, awesome. Just making sure.
You will be. So we'll marry. This will be. We'll have to work this out. But yeah, you guys take care and have a happy Sunday.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great night.
You too.
Oh, by the way, one more thing. Can I obtain a copy of this meeting?
Yeah.
It should be automatically sent to everybody's email. I have it set to that. If it's not the case, then just text it in the group chat. It'll be sent.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right. Take care.